Greetings gamers, ex-gamers and friends and family of gamers. Well, day 23 came and went with no temptation to game. None of the withdrawal symptoms on the Hooked on Games blog have shown their face so far, but I'm still going to finish the challenge just to be totally sure, although I doubt that an actual gaming addict would have made it this far without any obvious withdrawal symptoms, so I think I'm pretty safe at the moment. Now, I checked a Reddit thread just to be sure, and I couldn't find an example of anyone who got through more than 20 days without withdrawal symptoms. So my belief is, if I haven't had any withdrawal symptoms by now, I don't think I'm going to get them at all. Now, some ex-gamers have had to take such drastic measures as destroying their consoles so that they couldn't go back to gaming, and even then they were plagued with temptations to game and withdrawal symptoms that they described as brutal. From what I've learned so far in my addiction studies, I fully believe that the withdrawal symptoms can be absolutely brutal. My impression from reading the forum thread is that withdrawal symptoms come on quite early in the quitting process and can last for months. And yet, I'm hard pressed to find anything in my life that can possibly be counted as a withdrawal symptom. I haven't had to take anything like such drastic action. I haven't even uninstalled any games. I've spent the last 23 days literally just 2 clicks away from a relapse, and yet not even a hint of a temptation to click on any of the gaming icons that I see on my desktop every single day. And now that I've pretty much hit the 3/4 way mark with my challenge, with just over 1 week to go, I think I can safely conclude that I'm almost certainly not a gaming addict. Now, with regards to my weight, I'm currently 125.8 kilograms at the time I weighed myself this morning, which is still well within the plus or minus 1 kilogram daily weight fluctuation. So I have to say that after 4 days, I still haven't lost a significant amount of weight, despite sticking to my new set of dietary rules. That is to say, I still eat what I used to eat, but I've taken it down to 2 meals a day and halved my portion size. I also tend not to snack, although I did have 1 small apple in the evening yesterday. Now, just because I'm having fewer calories doesn't mean I'm going to lose weight. It could just mean that I put on weight at a slower rate. But looking at the trend line, I think I'm going in the right direction, so I'll stick with this regime for a short while longer before trying to reduce my calorific intake further. Now, in this video I want to talk about multiple addictions. Not all addicts are addicted to just one thing. It's all too common for those trying to recover from an addiction to find that they have other addictions. The Ranch website opens with a description of cravings being about an internal need that the addict can't satisfy on his or her own, and continues, "Given that addiction is the outward manifestation of this internal need, it is not uncommon for addicts to suffer from multiple addictions. Drugs and alcohol are a common combination, as are alcohol and food. Once addicts get into recovery, they often find a host of other addictions they never realized they had. They begin to see that they've spent most of their lives trying to escape from life, and that anything that promised to help them cope with life, no matter how destructive, was worth a try." I think the most common form of multiple addictions is alcohol and tobacco. They have been paired for centuries. I would suspect that people have been pairing alcohol and tobacco in Britain since Sir Walter Raleigh introduced tobacco to Queen Elizabeth I. Taking alcohol with tobacco makes the effects of both more pleasant and a lot more dangerous. Another common pairing, especially these days, is with the mixing of alcohol and ecstasy, generally at parties or raves. People can die from taking just a single pill of ecstasy, but often When we hear of a teenager dying at a nightclub or a rave from ecstasy, it is often not the ecstasy that killed the teenager, but the lethal combination of ecstasy and alcohol. That's not to say everyone who takes both drugs will die, just that the dangers of both drugs are enhanced by the way the two drugs interact. So the risk of adverse side effects associated with taking both are far higher than you would expect by simply adding the risks of taking one to the risks of taking the other. Aside from pairing substances to enhance the experience, some addicts have a pairing of a substance with a behavioural addiction, such as alcoholism and gambling, or alcoholism and shopping. Alcohol in particular lowers a person's inhibitions, making the behavioural addiction worse. Some people don't even see that they have a behavioural addiction, blaming the alcohol for their unhealthy behaviour patterns. Now, I've done some dungeons and raids with members of a guild I was in, and one player casually asked if we could wait a few seconds before taking on the next set of mobs so he could light up a joint. Now, I have no way of knowing if he was an addict, but it demonstrates that some people take drugs while gaming, perhaps to enhance their experience of both. I say he in the grammatically correct sense of the word, meaning either masculine or gender unknown. Talking over the keyboard, it's not possible to know if the people you're talking to are either male or female unless they tell you, and even then you have no way of verifying or falsifying their claims, meaning gamers tend to be judged solely on their ability to play the game and on no other criteria. This true meritocracy in the gaming community might be one of the reasons some people find video games so compulsive. They know they can be judged purely on their abilities, whereas in the real world they are judged on many factors, not just their competence, and many of those factors that they're judged on they have absolutely no control over. One Reddit user, whose account has since been deleted, was asking what drugs, both legal and illegal, could help him perform better in gaming, to which the best voted responses were oral meth, that is to say, methamphetamine taken orally. This shows that some gamers do take their gaming so very seriously as to take stimulants to allow themselves to keep gaming. The website Game Quitters has a very moving story of a gamer who liked to mix his gaming with alcohol, claiming at one point in his life drunk Dota, that's Defense of the Ancients, was his reason for living. It took vomiting blood to make him reevaluate his life, and even then it was a long and difficult journey to turn his life around. Alcohol is a common mixer with just about everything, and that includes gaming. Some people take alcohol to enhance their gaming experience. The alcohol can put them in a more relaxed and disinhibited state and give them a sense that their gaming has improved, even though it actually slows their reflexes. Alcohol affects the brain's ability to encode short-term memories, which is why a lot of people find it easy to lose track of how many drinks they've had after the first one. Gaming also affects the memory, and a common complaint among heavy gamers, which I've experienced personally, is that it's all too easy to lose track of time. Drinking and gaming can make the gaming drinker not only lose track of how much alcohol has been consumed, but also how much time has been spent gaming. Days, weeks, months, or in the case of Otto here, even years can disappear in a blurry haze of hangovers and sleepless nights. So when we're considering the risk factors for addiction, we also have to consider other addictions as a risk factor. One addiction can often lead to another, and the two addictions can reinforce each other in a vicious cycle. Recovery can be a tricky process. Some approaches seem to take one addiction at a time, and if the addict can overcome one addiction, that empowers them to make progress towards curing the other addiction, or at least recovering from the other addiction, since addictions can never really be cured. Another approach is to try to deal with all the addictions as if they were one single addiction, and get to and address the root cause of both or all of the addictions. Both approaches have their merits, and one approach might work for one person but not another. If you feel you might have a problem with excessive gaming and are worried you might be developing an addiction, why not follow along or try out this simple test of going game-free for a month? Remember, it can be any month and you don't have to start on the 1st. Why not post a comment and let me know how you're doing, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But as for me, hopefully soon to be slightly less big fat hairy 23 days counting non-gamer, I'll look forward to seeing you in another video.